Hi and welcome to Elite NWO Agenda on YouTube. Lord Jacob Rothschild has announced that he is actively buying up large quantities in gold, warning bankers that the world is now in uncharted waters. In his semi-annual address to investors at RIT Capital Partners, Chairman Lord Rothschild wrote that trouble is brewing for the global economy, adding cryptically that the greatest experiment in monetary policy in the history of the world is currently being played out by central bankers. The 6-month under review has seen central bankers continuing what is surely the greatest experiment in monetary policy in the history of the world. Jacob Rothschild, a British investor, banker, and a member of the prominent Rothschild banking family, underscores, "We are therefore in uncharted waters, and it is impossible to predict the unintended consequences of very low interest rates, with some 30% of global government debt at negative yields, combined with quantitative easing on a massive scale," he stresses. Rothschild has called attention to the fact that despite the policy having resulted in the rapid rise of stock markets, this growth cannot last forever, as the real sector remains anemic with weak demand and deflation in many developed countries. Meanwhile, the geopolitical situation is not getting easier. China's economic growth has slowed down, the election atmosphere in the United States remains fraught, and the conflict in the Middle East continues to rage on. Germany, France, and the United States have been subjected to terrorist attacks. To complicate matters even further, the UK has voted to leave the European Union. Rothschild emphasizes, in times like these, preservation of capital in real terms continues to be as important and objective as any in the management of your company's assets. To tackle emerging risks, RIT Capital Partners has adopted a series of measures. Interestingly enough, Rothschild has signaled that he is shifting from sterling in anticipation of Brexit and the US dollar to gold and other currencies. Our significant US dollar position has now been somewhat reduced, as following the dollar's rise, we saw interesting opportunities in other currencies as well as gold, the latter reflecting our concerns about monetary policy and ever-declining real yields. And that's what Mr. Lord Jacob Rothschild explains. By the end of June, RIT Capital Partners increased their gold and precious metals assets to 8%. Jacob Rothschild, de facto, says that those who manage the Western economies do not know what they are doing, that they are improvising, they have no plan, no precise model or tested scheme. They are performing an experiment with nations pumping their economies with cheap money which they get out of thin air. Although US President Barack Obama has repeatedly stated that the financial crisis of 2008 was overdue to the Federal Reserve System's effective monetary policies, this is likely wishful on his part. The media outlet warned that the Fed's policies resemble nothing so much as a dangerous worldwide experiment, which may soon bear its bitter fruit. Purportedly, therefore, Jacob Rothschild has reduced his company's equities, exposure, and the US dollar assets, seeking shelter in gold and other precious metals. History teaches us that the gold price usually soars during economic crisis, civil wars, and world wars. Apparently, Rothschild does not believe in the US economy's bright prospects. Otherwise, he wouldn't have turned to gold. In April 2016, James Rickards, a lawyer, author, economist, and editor of Strategic Intelligence, highlighted that gold has made an amazing comeback this year, adding that investors have always regarded gold as a safe haven. Countries are also acquiring gold in advance of a collapse of the international monetary system. The system has collapsed 3 times in the past century. Each time, major financial powers came together to write new rules. The Economist underscored, hinting at the possibility that the next collapse could be right around the corner. What do you think about that? Are you going to follow suit and purchase gold and get out of the paper fiat system? I am, and I have done. What about you? What do you feel about that? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, be sure to subscribe to us, Elite NWO Agenda, for latest updates.